Hunter Biden pleads not guilty to criminal charges, and we know what that means. Release conditions. He's got some terms that he's got to follow out of Delaware. We're going to go through all of them. There's some good ones. He's got to get a job. We'll see what that means. But there is reaction from the White House as well. They're squirming all over the place now that there are questions being raised, and we'll see when Hunter's next official court date is. But let's just dive right into it. The release conditions coming out of Hunter Biden's guilty plea filed out of the District of Delaware. The case is United States of America versus Robert Hunter Biden. So of course, the president is running the country. It's his DOJ. This is Joe Biden's DOJ. He's the executive of the country. So he is prosecuting his own son. There's no special counsel involved in any of this. And here is what the release conditions entail. The judge tells us, Huntie must not violate any federal, state, or local laws. He must cooperate with a DNA sample collection so that we can get that on file. So whoever's collecting that, hopefully they're using a biohazard suit and gloves. Even put a face mask on. Good idea. The defendant must advise the court or the pretrial services office or supervising officer in writing before you move around, which I think his residence is like the White House. The defendant must appear in court as required. If convicted, must surrender to serve his sentence, and he must appear in court at a later date. Now, there was no appearance bond or anything of that variety, but here are more conditions. They say that, as usual, our courts want to release people in most situations. The default rule is to release people unless they're a danger to themselves, to the community, unless they're a flight risk, unless they're going to commit a new crime or something like that. So here the judge is saying our court obligations under the law, we want the least restrictive conditions available. He's not in the custody of anybody, so we can fast forward through that. But the defendant, Huntie, must do the following. He's on what looks to be pre-trial services. So he's going to have to give a phone call over to Central District of California, which is where he resides. I think, is he still living with that, officially with that bonghead lawyer? So he's got to call pre-trial services, which is an entity that you check in with just to say, hey, you know, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. I'm not in a non-extraditable country, and so on. Got to call the number. Now here's one. Hunter must continue or actively seek employment. Is he employed? We know he's a fake artist money launderer, but does that count as active employment? Cocaine transactions, drug dealing is not generally, the judge won't say, oh, you're a drug dealer? That's okay, that counts. So I don't know. Hopefully he has to get a job. Now, no education program requirement, doesn't worry about that. Doesn't have to surrender his passport. Section F, he's got to abide by the following. He has to communicate in writing all international travel plans. So if he's going back over there to hang out with the CCP or the Ukrainians on Burisma, you got to tell the court and provide supporting documentation about your travels, if requested, to both the court and the district in which you're residing. So both the Delaware and the district in California. There's no prohibitions on any contact with anybody. So nothing is labeled there. He doesn't have to get medical or psychiatric treatment, which is not a bad idea, but the judge is not requiring it. He doesn't have a curfew or have to be home at any particular time. Doesn't have to go to a halfway house, but he must not possess a firearm or a destructive device or any other weapon. He's got a gun crime, so no firearms. And he cannot use alcohol. Ooh, those State Department dinners may not be so fun for old Huntie. I don't know what his current status is. He claims to be in recovery. They find dime bags of coke at the White House. Who the heck knows? Sounds like that might be a difficult one. But this one's even worse. Subsection M. Do not use or unlawfully possess a narcotic drug or other controlled substances like cocaine as defined under the law, unless it's medical cocaine. Then you can use it. Submit to testing for a Oh, Hunter's getting drug tested. Ooh. Oh man. This is what I'm talking about. This is why they wanted this whole deal to just be done. He's got drug testing now. Oh, he's going to hate that. So Huntie must submit to a testing for prohibited substances if required by pretrial services. So we'll see. So he's got to call a pretrial here and they'll see what they do with that. Or the supervisor. He's got a history of drugs, but these aren't drug crimes. Although maybe some of the defenses to the drug crimes are that he was a crackhead at the time. So testing may be used with random frequency. They could require it. Don't know that it's going to be mandatory. But if the pretrial services officer, generally when you go to pretrial services, you'll have an intake. You know, it's sort of like an onboarding. What's your crime? What's your background? Are you still drinking? Are you still committing tax crimes? Do you still have gun problems? So they'll ask him about that. They could add urine testing, sweat patch, remote alcohol testing system like an ankle monitor, prohibited substances, and you must not obstruct or tamper with any of those devices. Not a good one for Hunter if they choose to do it. And I think that they might, because the judge actually brought it up today during the proceedings. And Hunter must also participate in a program of inpatient or outpatient substance abuse therapy if directed by pretrial services. So he might be getting some drug treatment, inpatient or outpatient, if they deem appropriate. No curfew, no home detention, no home incarceration, no standalone monitoring or anything of the sort. Also, no location tracking like GPS, no paying of costs. He doesn't have to report his prior arrest or anything like that. This is what Hunter signs. You're aware of this. You violate any of these things, there could be an issuance of a warrant for your arrest. If you commit a new federal felony offense, your sentence will be consecutive, okay? Meaning we're going to run it after the other one. You commit one crime, you're going to get penalized for that crime, and you're going to serve the full 5-year sentence for crime 1. After crime 1, we're going to penalize you for crime 2, but it's only going to start after you've served your time for crime 1. So let's say you charge 2 crimes. You could run those sentences concurrently, so you get out after the 5 years on both, or consecutively, so you stack the 5 years. You commit a new crime, Hunter, going to be a problem for you. It's a crime punishable by up to 10 years. To obstruct, don't do it. If you fail to appear, there will be big problems. If you're convicted of any of these other offenses, consequences could be severe. Do you acknowledge this, Huntie? Hunter Biden signed it right there. R.H.B. Biden. Hunter signing his release conditions. Charged as a criminal. Ordered for processing by the judge. Now, this is very curious. When Donald Trump gets indicted again, they're going to go through something very similar to this. And we're going to ask ourselves what the DC judges do about stuff like home detention, monitoring, passport, travel, all of these different things, including pretrial services. And so Hunter gets a pretty nice exit release conditions. Nothing too strenuous there, although those drug limitations could be concerning, especially now that we know that there's a crackhead in the White House. So there were other documents filed. We see that the judge has ordered the government now to comply with Brady. Remember, Brady means that the government has to disclose any exculpatory evidence to the defense. So the judge says, well, all right, this is basically a real criminal case now. Congratulations, you've entered your plea of not guilty. So now the government is obligated, pursuant to Brady, to disclose any information that's favorable to the defense And we're sitting here going, wait, what? The whole plea deal was favorable to the defense. The DOJ is basically working for the defense. So they're going to still give them their Brady materials, mitigation and punishment stuff, all of this favorable information that may cast doubt on the credibility of government witnesses. And I'm sure they have just wheelbarrows full of this. They're like, here, Hunter, here's all the reasons you're innocent. Wait, you're prosecuting me? This is incredible. Thank you for this. Possible consequences for violating this order could be problematic for the DOJ, but of course they will comply with this. And there was something else interesting that happened in court. Don't know if you saw this, but the Babylon Bee, speaking of those drug crimes and those drug conditions, did you see that they reported the following? One of their reporters was there. They said that the Secret Service says that an 8-ball of cocaine was found in the courtroom chair that Hunter was sitting in, but they concluded that it was left there by a tour group. Oh, so that's interesting. You see it right there. Very similar situation to the White House. You know, those cokehead tour groups all over the place. So the judge has set those release conditions, and Hunter is prohibited from legally using crack. Questions at the White House abound. The press is asking Karine a lot of questions, and so she comes out and just pre-butts this.
Now, I know many people have been following the news in Delaware today and we're going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we do.
And so here's what I'll say at the top before I turn it over to my colleague, the Admiral. Hunter Biden is a private citizen, and this was a personal matter for him. As we have said, the President, the First Lady, they love their son, and they support him as he continues to rebuild his life. This case was handled independently, as all of you know, by the Justice Department under the leadership of a prosecutor appointed by the former president, President Trump.
but he has to go through Matthew Graves in DC or U.S. attorneys in California in order to do anything.
So for anything further, as you know, and we've been very consistent from here, I refer you to the Department of Justice and to Hunter's representatives, who is his legal team, obviously, who can address any of your questions.
Oh, okay. So I guess we'll just call Hunter then, right? I guess we have no questions for Karine. Wrong. They bombarded her, rightfully so. They said, hey, have you even talked to Hunter about this?
Have the president and his attorneys been in touch with Hunter's legal team today? And, have they been keeping tabs on the proceedings?
Look, I don't have anything to share. I would refer you to, on this particular issue, I would refer you to Hunter's representative. I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
You just
I
said
don't
that.
have anything to share beyond on what I shared at the top of this briefing.
It's extremely rare in such a high-profile case for a plea deal to fall apart like this.
Yeah,
Does the president believe that the prosecutors, the federal prosecutors in this case, have acted appropriately and competently?
As you know, Jeremy, this was an independent investigation
Wrong.
that was overseen by the Department of Justice.
Not according to the
As we've been
whistleblowers.
very clear, they are independent. We give them the space to do their work. We believe in the rule of law. I just don't have anything else to share on this. I would refer you to the Department of Justice. Again,
Nada.
this was done independently, and I would also refer you to Hunter's representatives.
Nada from her. So we're going to see some stonewalling like that. Here is another example.
A firearm illegally should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
So here, I'm going to be, I think I know where this question is going.
Yeah, Hunter.
And I'm just going to continue to say, as it relates to the case that we're seeing in Delaware, I'm just going to not speak to that.
She is right. They want to know about old Hunter, but she doesn't want to talk about it. So we have questions about the new language. Remember, the White House has new Karine Biden Hunter question strategy 2.0 that she is launching. And the language change, and I know these outfits look almost identical, but these were actually on 2 different days. This is the day that the language changed. We know that Hunter and Joe apparently never spoke about any of this stuff.
The president's accusation against you stems from your son, Hunter Biden, working on the board of an energy company in Ukraine while you were vice president. Do you agree that that could at least create the appearance of a conflict?
Look, what I agree is with that there's not a single solitary thing anyone said that was done wrong. I don't discuss business with my son.
You don't.
I didn't know that was the case
You didn't.
when in fact I found out after the fact. And because I don't discuss things with my son or my family, because I don't want to have any knowledge of any, I don't want to be accused of, well, you talk with your son or you talk with your whomever. And so the fact is, though, everybody's looked at that. He did nothing wrong.
Okay, so there's about 1 million other clips just like that where he says, I've never even talked to him, even when he was Attorney General and my other son, Beau, and all this stuff. But then Karine came out and there was a hard shift. We all got whiplash. We're like, whoa, we thought we were going in the direction of never spoke, and suddenly you jerked us into this never in business land. What the heck's going on here?
Chairman James Comer today says that the Oversight Committee, has evidence that the president in the past communicated directly with foreign business associates of his son Hunter Biden many times. Curious if the White House and the president still stand behind his comment that he's never been involved and has never even spoken to his son about his business.
So I've been asked this question 1 million times. The answer is not going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son. I just don't have anything else to add.
Never in business. Never in business. He just said we never spoke. Never in business means what? That they haven't formed LLCs together? Is Joe Biden getting direct deposits from Hunter Biden? We don't think that that's happening. We think that there's probably something else happening. But why did the language change? Media wants to know. Pretty obvious.
Months ago, you said that nothing has changed when you were asked about the president's previous remarks on his son's business dealings, but the language has in fact changed. So I just want to clear this up once and for all.
Yeah.
The president has previously said that he has never discussed overseas business dealings with his son, but the White House now said that the president has never been in business with his son. So why the updated language? Which statement is true? Or is this semantics and they're both true?
As I stated on Monday, when I was asked this question multiple times, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed on this. Nothing has changed on this. And so you could ask me 1 million different ways on this question.
I hope they do.
Nothing has changed.
He just literally pointed out the statements that have changed. Karine, you're killing me here. But you said no talking. Now you say no business. The word talking went to business. Do you want me to spell them for you? They're very different words. words. But nothing has changed in the White House. So, okay. And she got it one more time just to get out of there. Nothing has changed.
Earlier this week, you said the president was never in business with his son. But can you say specifically that the president did not have discussions of any kind with Hunter about his business dealings?
I appreciate the question. I've been asked this question multiple times in different variations in different ways. As you mentioned, I was asked this question multiple times on Monday. Nothing has changed.
Today too.
I don't have anything to add to what I stated on Monday.
What do we even have a press secretary for? Oh, gosh. We will continue to cover this, my friends. So if you are not already subscribed, we would love to have you wherever it is you're watching us, because there will be new filings and we're going to cover this case as it unfolds.